The night was cold. The ruined city lay silent under a broken sky. Towers of steel and glass stood like dead giants, their windows shattered, their lights long gone. Only the wind moved through the empty streets, carrying the smell of smoke and old dust. In this city lived a boy. He had no home, no family, no future. He was only 15, but his face already carried the weight of hunger and struggle. Every night he searched the ruins for scraps, half-burnt bread, spilled grain, anything to keep his body alive. His hands were rough, his clothes torn, and his stomach empty. That night he walked the narrow alleys, eyes sharp like a hunter. He checked old bins, broken stalls, and fallen shops. Nothing. Only rats and shadows. He sighed, pressing a hand to his empty stomach. Then he froze. A sound, it was soft, weak, almost like a whisper. It came from the darkness at the end of the alley. The boy narrowed his eyes, listening. It was not the squeak of rats, nor the hiss of the wind. It was crying. Slowly he stepped closer. His bare feet made no sound on the cracked stones. As he neared the corner, the sound grew clearer. A child's cry, fragile, broken, and then he saw her. She was small, maybe 10 years old. But she was not human. Her skin glowed faintly blue in the moonlight. Her hair shimmered like silver threads falling over her shoulders. And her eyes were strange. They were white and cloudy, like glass that had lost its shine. She sat curled against the wall, her thin arms hugging her knees, tears sliding down her pale cheeks. The boy froze. His breath caught in his chest. He had seen aliens before from far away, in ships or patrols, but never this close, and never a child. His first thought was to leave. Aliens meant danger. Humans were not welcome in this city anymore. If anyone saw him near her, he could be killed. But then she spoke. Her voice was soft, almost broken. "Please, help me." The boy's heart jumped. He stood still, unsure. She lifted her head, though her white eyes did not focus on him. She was blind. I cannot see," she whispered. "Please, take me to the healer." The boy's mouth went dry. He wanted to run. He wanted to pretend he never saw her. But there was something in her voice, something weak, something desperate that held him in place. He stepped closer. Who are you?" he asked quietly. She turned her head, but her eyes stared into nothing. "I am lost," she said. "I need the healer, please. My eyes. They hurt." The boy looked around. The streets were empty for now, but he knew this city. Patrols came without warning. If the wrong people saw him with her, it would mean death. His mind screamed, "Leave her. She is not your problem." But his heart whispered, "She is just a child." Finally, he knelt beside her. She flinched at first, but then relaxed as his rough hands touched her shoulder. "Can you stand?" he asked. She shook her head. "I am too weak." The boy sighed, rubbing his tired face. Then, without another word, he bent down and lifted her onto his back. She was lighter than he expected, her small arms wrapping around his neck. As he stood, she whispered, "Thank you." The boy's chest tightened. No one had thanked him in years. He started walking through the alley, moving quickly but quietly. The city was full of shadows and secrets, and he knew how to slip between them. He had survived this long by being unseen. Tonight, he had to do it again, only now, with someone else's life on his back. But just as they left the alley, he froze again. Above in the night sky, dark shapes moved. 3 ships hovered silently, their lights scanning the streets below. They were not human ships. They belonged to her kind. Searching, hunting. The girl on his back stiffened. Her cloudy eyes seemed to glow faintly. "They are looking for me," she whispered. The boy's blood ran cold. He had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Yet, somehow, he could not put her down. He pulled her closer and slipped into the shadows, heart pounding. The hunt had already begun, and he was now part of it. The boy moved quickly through the empty streets, the blind alien girl clinging to his back. Her arms were light, but her presence was heavy. Every step felt dangerous now. The city was not safe. Broken towers stood like dark teeth, sharp and silent. Shadows moved between ruins, and every sound echoed too loudly. The boy knew these streets well, but tonight they felt alive, as if the city itself was watching him. Above them, the alien ships hovered, their lights sweeping across the ground. Blue beams cut through the night, searching. The boy ducked into a broken shop, pressing his back against the cracked wall. The girl trembled slightly. "They are close," she whispered, her voice shaking. The boy frowned. "How do you know?" She turned her pale, blind eyes toward the ceiling. "I can feel them." He wanted to ask more, but the heavy sound of boots cut him short. From outside came deep voices, speaking in an alien tongue. The boy didn't understand the words, but the tone was enough. They were hunting. He pressed a finger to his lips. "Quiet," he whispered. The girl nodded. Holding her breath, through the broken shop window, the boy saw them dark figures moving down the street. They wore heavy armor that shimmered in the glow of the ship's lights. In their hands were scanners, small machines that beeped and flashed as they swept the air. The boy's stomach twisted. If the scanners picked up her energy, they were finished. One of the aliens stopped just outside, turning its head toward the shop. The boy froze. His heart pounded like a drum. Slowly, he crouched lower, pulling the girl with him into the shadows. The alien raised the scanner. It beeped once, twice, then silence. The alien grunted and moved on. The boy exhaled, only now realizing he had been holding his breath. Sweat ran down his forehead. He looked at the girl on his back. She was calm, almost too calm. "We need to move," he whispered, and they slipped back into the night. The streets twisted like a maze. The boy took narrow paths, climbing over rubble and slipping through broken fences. The girl said nothing at first, only listening, only clinging. But after a while, she whispered, "Left. Take the next left." The boy paused. "How do you know where to go? You can't even see." The girl tilted her head. "I know this place. I was brought here once before." He frowned, but obeyed. Somehow, she guided him through the ruined city better than his own memory. Each time she told him to turn, they avoided patrols. Each time she whispered a warning, they stopped just before a searchlight swept across their path. The boy felt uneasy. She was blind, weak, and small yet. Somehow she was leading him at one point. They crouched behind a wall while 3 aliens passed close by. The boy could hear their heavy breathing, smell the strange metallic scent of their armor. The girl leaned close to his ear and whispered, "Do not move." He obeyed. The soldier stopped, scanning again. His chest ached from holding still. Seconds passed like hours. Finally, the aliens moved away, their voices fading. The boy let out a shaky laugh. You're like some kind of ghost." The girl smiled faintly. "No, just different." Hours seemed to pass as they crept through the city. The boy's legs grew heavy, but he did not stop. He carried her as if she weighed nothing, though his body screamed for rest. Hunger gnawed at his stomach, but fear pushed him forward. At last, the girl spoke again. "Not far now. The healer is close." The boy narrowed his eyes. "This healer? Will he really help you?" "Yes," she whispered. "He can fix my eyes. He can save me." The boy wanted to believe her, but a part of him doubted. In this city, people did not help for free. Everyone wanted something. Still, he kept walking. Then it happened. They reached a small street, darker than the rest, with broken lamps and fallen signs. At the far end stood an old stone building. Its roof was cracked, but a faint light glowed from inside. "That's it," the girl whispered. "The healer lives there." The boy started toward it, hope rising in his chest, but then a voice boomed from the shadows. Alien words echoed through the street. The boy spun around, his heart stopping. Figures stepped from the darkness. 6 of them, armed. Their scanners glowed red now, pointed straight at him. The girl gasped, tightening her grip on his neck. "They found me," she whispered, terror breaking her calm voice for the first time. The boy's eyes darted around. The healer's house was only a few steps away. But between him and the door stood death. His hands trembled. His body shook. But he did not put her down. He bent his knees, ready to run. The boy's chest pounded. His eyes darted from the glowing scanners to the old stone building at the end of the street. The healer's house was so close, just a few steps away. Yet 6 armored hunters stood between him and safety. The girl on his back clung tighter, her breath shaky in his ear. "Run," she whispered. "Please, run." The hunters raised their weapons. Strange blue lights hummed at the tips, charging. The boy's throat went dry. He had no weapon, no armor, no plan. Only his legs. Only his stubborn will to live. He bent low, gripping the girl tightly, and then he ran. Shouts echoed behind him. Alien voices roared, weapons fired. Blue beams of energy sliced the air, burning holes into walls and stone. The boy zigzagged across the street, his bare feet slapping against the cracked ground. Dust and sparks exploded around him. The girl cried out once, then buried her face against his shoulder, whispering directions. "Left. Go left." He obeyed, darting into a narrow alley, just as a beam struck where he had been a second before. The stone wall exploded, sending shards flying. One sharp edge cut across his cheek, warm blood dripping down. But he did not stop. The alley twisted like a snake, and the boy used every turn, every shadow. He knew these paths better than anyone. For years, he had survived here, stealing, hiding, running. Now all those nights of practice came alive. Behind them, the hunters followed. Their heavy boots crashed on the stones, their scanners flashing. But the alley was too small for their wide shoulders, and they had to move slower. The boy darted through a hole in the wall into an abandoned house. The roof had collapsed, leaving the inside filled with rubble and ash. He crouched low, crawling across the broken floor, careful not to step on glass. The girl's voice was faint but steady. "Straight ahead. There's a tunnel." He frowned. "How do you know?" She tilted her head. "I remember the sound. The healer's place connects here." He didn't understand, but he didn't argue. He trusted her strange sense. Crawling forward, he found a broken staircase that led down into darkness. Without hesitation, he descended. The tunnel smelled of mold and wet stone. Water dripped from the ceiling, and rats scurried into cracks. The boy moved quickly, the girl still on his back. Behind them, the heavy footsteps of the hunters grew louder. They had found the entrance to. Panic clawed at his chest. The tunnel was too tight, too dark. If they caught him here, there would be no escape. He stumbled forward, heart hammering. "Which way?" he hissed. The girl lifted her head, her cloudy eyes glowing faintly. "Right?" He turned sharply. The tunnel branched, splitting into 2 paths. He took the right one, squeezing through. A moment later, the left tunnel lit up with a flash and energy blast had fired straight through it. The boy gasped. If he had chosen wrong, they would both be ashes. The hunters grew closer. their voices echoing in the stone corridor. The boy ran faster, lungs burning, legs trembling. He slipped on wet stones, but caught himself before falling. Then, ahead, he saw light. A wooden door, half broken. With a faint glow behind it, he rushed forward and slammed his shoulder into it. The door burst open, throwing him and the girl into a small chamber. Inside stood an old alien, hunched and thin, with wrinkled skin that shimmered like bronze. His large black eyes widened in shock as he saw the boy collapse onto the floor. The blind girl still clinging to him. "Healer," she whispered weakly. "Help me." The old alien froze for only a second, then quickly shut the door, pressing his hand against strange symbols carved on the wall. The door glowed faintly, sealing itself with a low hum. The boy lay on the floor, panting hard, sweat dripping from his face. His arms trembled from carrying her, but he did not let go. The healer stared at him, then at the girl. His expression turned grim. "You should not have brought her here," he said softly. The boy blinked in confusion. "Why?" she said. "You can help." The healer's eyes flickered with fear. "Do you know who she is?" The boy shook his head. "She's just a blind girl." The healer leaned close, whispering as if the walls themselves were listening. "No, boy. She is the daughter of the most dangerous being in this galaxy. The mob boss. The Warlord. If his enemies find her here, we are all dead." The boy's stomach dropped. He looked at the girl on his back, her pale face pressed against his shoulder. A mob boss's daughter. He could hardly believe it. But before he could speak, a heavy thud shook the sealed door. The hunters had found them. The healer's face turned pale. "They will not stop until they have her." The boy clenched his fists. He had risked everything to bring her here. He wasn't about to give her up. The girl lifted her head weakly. Her blind eyes stared at nothing, but her voice was clear. "Don't leave me," she whispered. The boy looked at the healer, then at the trembling door. He had no weapons, no plan, but he had already made his choice. He would fight. The chamber was small, carved deep into stone. Strange herbs hung from the ceiling, filling the air with bitter smells. Jars of glowing liquid lined the shelves. And strange machines hummed softly in the corners. The boy laid the blind alien girl gently on a wooden table. She looked pale, her breathing shallow, her hands trembling. He brushed the dirt from her face, whispering, "It's okay. You're safe now." But the healer did not move closer. He stood frozen by the sealed door, his black eyes wide with fear. Outside, heavy thuds shook the stone as the hunters struck again and again, their weapons burning against the lock. "They'll break through," the boy warned. "Do something." The healer's wrinkled hands trembled. "You don't understand, human boy. She is not just a lost child. She is the blood of the Iron Fang." The boy frowned. Iron Fang. The healer nodded slowly. The mob boss. The killer of worlds. The most feared name in the galaxy. That is her father. The boy's stomach twisted. His throat went dry. He looked down at the girl, her face so small, so fragile, so weak. It was impossible to imagine her linked to such a monster, but the healer's trembling voice continued. "Her blindness. It is not sickness. It is punishment. Enemies of her father cursed her eyes when she was young. The boss sent her here once, hoping I could undo the curse. I failed." The boy looked at him sharply. "But she said you can heal her." The healer turned away, his shoulders slumping. "Perhaps I can. Perhaps I cannot. But tell me, boy, I help her. Do you know what will happen?" The boy shook his head. The healer's voice dropped to a whisper. "If she sees again, her father will unleash his fury upon this world. He will destroy all who ever dared to touch her. Even you, even me." The boy clenched his fists. So you want to let her die? The healer did not answer. His silence was answer enough. The girl stirred weakly. Her blind eyes fluttered open, and she whispered, "Healer, you promised. You said one day you could fix me." Her words were soft, but they struck the boy like a blade. He turned to the healer, anger burning in his eyes. "She's a child. She trusts you, and you're just going to betray her?" The healer's gaze hardened. "Do not speak of things you don't understand, boy. You are human trash in this city. Do you think her father will spare you when he learns you touched her, carried her?" The boy's chest tightened. For years, he had been called trash, worthless, forgotten. But tonight, for the first time, someone had held on to him and whispered thank you. He would not let that be taken away. He stepped closer to the healer, his voice low but firm. "Then I'll protect her myself." The healer blinked in shock. "Protect her? Against hunters? Against the mob? You are nothing." The boy lifted his chin. "Maybe I am nothing, but at least I won't abandon her." The healer opened his mouth, but before he could speak, the sealed door shook violently. Cracks glowed blue as the hunter's weapons tore at it. Stones fell from the ceiling. "They are breaking through." The boy cried. The healer's face paled. His fear grew stronger than his pride. He rushed to the girl's side, checking her weak pulse. "Her body is failing. If I don't treat her now, she will die." The boy's breath caught. "Then help her." The healer's long fingers hovered above her eyes. He muttered in his alien tongue, pulling jars and powders from the shelves. Strange smells filled the air, sharp and bitter. The girl reached for the boy's hand, gripping it tightly. "Don't leave me," she whispered again. He held her hand with both of his, nodding. "I won't." The healer mixed glowing liquid and crushed herbs, placing them in a small bowl. He dipped his fingers and painted strange marks across the girl's eyelids. She winced, but did not cry out. "This may not restore her sight," the healer said quickly, "but it will keep her alive for now." The boy swallowed hard. He wanted to believe him, but doubt gnawed at his mind. Then he noticed something. The healer's other hand had slipped behind his back. Hidden in his palm was a small communicator, its red light blinking faintly. The boy's heart froze. He knew that light. It was a call signal. The healer wasn't just helping. He was sending a message. Rage filled the boy's chest. He grabbed the healer's wrist, slamming it against the table. The communicator clattered to the ground, its light flickering. The healer hissed, "You fool! Do you know what you've done?" The boy's voice shook with fury. "You were going to sell her, weren't you? That's why you're so afraid. You don't care about healing, only saving yourself." The girl gasped, her hand tightening around his. "Is it true?" She whispered weakly. The healer's silence answered for him. The boy's body shook, not from fear this time, but from anger. He pulled the girl into his arms, lifting her from the table. The healer shouted, "If you take her, you'll bring death to us all." The boy glared back. "Then let death come. I won't abandon her to liars and cowards." The door cracked open with a final blast. Blue light flooded the chamber as the hunters roared outside. The boy didn't wait. With the girl in his arms, he ran through the back of the healer's chamber, shoving open a hidden passage the healer had left half closed. Behind him, the healer's chamber shook with explosions. His angry screams echoed in the smoke. But the boy did not look back. He ran into the tunnels once again, carrying the blind alien girl, the mob boss's daughter, away from both hunters and betrayers. Asterisk. The tunnels were dark and damp. Water dripped from cracks above, echoing through the stone. The boy's footsteps splashed as he carried the blind alien girl deeper inside, her small body trembling in his arms. Behind them, faint echoes of shouting and blasts faded into the distance, but he knew the hunters weren't gone. They were spreading out. They would search every tunnel, every hole, caged every shadow until they found her. The boy's arms ached from carrying her, but he did not slow down. He could feel her heartbeat against his chest, weak but steady. He whispered, almost to himself, "I won't let them take you. Not while I'm breathing." The girl stirred, her cloudy eyes half open. "Why?" she whispered. The boy blinked. "Why what?" "Why help me? I am not human. I am trouble. If my father finds you, he will kill you." Her words were soft, but they cut deep. The boy swallowed. "Because you asked," he said simply. "No one ever asks me for help. No one ever thanks me. But you did." She fell silent, but her small hand clung to his shirt. The tunnel twisted and opened into an old storage chamber. Rusted crates and broken machines filled the room. The boy laid her down gently on one of the crates and looked around. For a moment, there was silence. Then his anger returned. He slammed his fist into the wall, whispering harshly, "That healer. He was going to sell you out." The girl lowered her head. "I trusted him once." The boy sat down beside her, his voice low. "I've learned something. In this city, trust is poison. People will smile at you while holding a knife behind their back." The girl's lips trembled. "Do you trust me?" The boy paused. She was blind, helpless, hunted, but she had guided him through the streets when no one else could. She had held his hand like he mattered. He nodded. Yes. Her cloudy eyes turned toward him. For the first time, she smiled faintly. Suddenly, a sound echoed from the tunnel behind them. Not boots this time. A soft hum. A faint crackle of energy. The boy froze. He knew that sound. Slowly, he turned his head. From the shadows, the healer stepped forward. His wrinkled face twisted with fury, his black eyes burning. In his hand was a small weapon, its tip glowing blue. The boy stood instantly, shielding the girl. "You followed us." The healer's voice was sharp with hatred. "You ruined me, boy. My chance to survive. Do you know what the mob will do to me when they learn I failed to hand her over? Do you know what the hunters will do when they find me empty-handed?" The boy's fists clenched. "So you want to kill her yourself?" The healer sneered. "No, I will deliver her alive. But you," he raised the weapon at the boy, "you are nothing but a witness. And I cannot afford witnesses." The girl gasped, clutching the boy's arm. "No." The healer stepped closer, the weapon aimed at the boy's chest. "Step aside, human. This is bigger than you." For a moment, the boy's knees trembled. He had no weapon, no power, only rage. But he remembered the healer's betrayal, the way he had tried to sell her with that communicator. He remembered the girl's whisper, "Don't leave me." He shook his head slowly. "If you want her, you'll have to go through me." The healer snarled. "So be it." He fired a flash of blue lit the chamber. The boy twisted, throwing himself sideways. The blast scorched the wall, leaving a smoking hole. Dust rained down. The boy grabbed a rusted pipe from the floor. It was bent and weak, but it was all he had. The healer fired again. The boy ducked behind a crate, dragging the girl with him. Sparks exploded as the blast struck metal. His heart thundered. He knew he couldn't dodge forever. The healer's voice echoed, "You're wasting your life for her. Don't you understand? She is death. She carries the blood of a monster." The boy's voice rose, raw and angry. "Maybe, but she's also a child. And she trusted me. That's more than I can say for you." He leaped from behind the crate, swinging the pipe. The healer fired, but the shot went wide. The pipe struck his arm, sending the weapon clattering to the ground. The boy didn't hesitate. He grabbed the healer's collar and shoved him back against the wall. The old alien gasped, his eyes wide. "You fool. Do you think you've won? When her father finds you, he will tear you apart piece by piece. Your courage means nothing." The boy's grip tightened. His voice was low, filled with fire. "Maybe, but tonight, she's still alive because of me. That's enough." The healer spat blood, glaring. "You're already dead, boy. You just don't know it yet." Before the boy could answer, a sound shook the chamber. A roar, not from hunters. Something deeper. The ground trembled as if the earth itself was afraid. Dust fell from the ceiling. The girl's blind eyes widened, her lips trembling. She whispered a single word, "Father." The boy froze. The healer's lips curled into a cruel smile. "It seems your time is up." The boy turned, heart pounding. Through the cracks in the wall, light spilled into the chamber. Not the cold blue of hunters' weapons, no. This was fire. Red, burning. The mob boss had arrived. The ground shook. The air burned with firelight. The boy stood frozen. The blind alien girl clinging to his side, while the healer laughed bitterly from where he had fallen. From the cracks in the wall, red light spilled into the chamber. Pulsing like a heartbeat, then came the sound-heavy boots. Dozens of them, marching in rhythm. The hunters had been frightening, but this was something greater. The girl trembled, her small hand clutching the boy's shirt. Her cloudy eyes glistened with tears. She whispered one word again, her voice breaking, "Father." The wall at the far end exploded inward. Stones shattered. Dust filled the chamber, and fire burned in the opening. Through the smoke, a tall figure stepped forward. The boy's breath caught in his throat. He had seen powerful aliens before soldiers. Raiders, criminals, but nothing like this. The mob boss was huge, his body covered in dark armor, etched with scars. His face was sharp, cruel, with eyes that glowed like burning coals. Around him marched soldiers, armored in black, their weapons gleaming. But none dared walk ahead of him. None even dared breathe too loud. This was a king of fear. A warlord who ruled not by love, but by terror. The healer dropped to his knees instantly, bowing his head. "Great Iron Fang," he cried, his voice trembling. "Forgive me. I tried to keep her safe until you came." The human, he interfered. The boy glared, rage burning in his chest, but he said nothing. His throat was tight. His body shook, not from the heat, but from the sheer weight of the presence before him. The mob boss's burning eyes fixed on the girl. For a moment, his cruel face softened. "Daughter," he rumbled, his voice deep as thunder. The girl reached toward him blindly, tears slipping down her pale cheeks. "Father." He stepped forward. The ground seemed to quake beneath his boots. His soldiers spread out, their weapons raised, forming a circle around the boy and the girl. Then the boss's fiery gaze turned to the boy. Silence filled the chamber. The boy's chest pounded so hard he thought it would break. He wanted to speak, to explain, to beg for his life, but the words stuck in his throat. Finally, the mob boss spoke, his voice cold and sharp. "A human, carrying my child." The healer lifted his head eagerly. "Yes, Great One." He touched her. "He defiled your blood with his filthy hands. Kill him, and I will take her back to safety." The boy clenched his fists. His body screamed at him to run, but he stood his ground. The mob boss raised one hand. His weapon unfolded from his armor, glowing red at the tip. He aimed it directly at the boy's chest. The girl cried out, her voice shaking. No, he saved me. He carried me when no one else would. Don't hurt him. Her words echoed in the chamber. The soldiers shifted uneasily. Even the healer froze. But the boss did not lower his weapon. His burning eyes locked onto the boy's face. The boy's heart hammered. He could not fight. He could not win. But he could still speak. His voice cracked, but he forced the words out. "Kill me if you want," he said. "I don't care. But I would rather die than leave her alone in this city." The chamber fell silent. The mob boss's soldiers looked at one another, confused. No human had ever spoken to their master like this. No one dared. The healer hissed in rage. "Do not listen to him. He is nothing. A street rat. Kill him before he poisons her with his lies." But the girl held tighter to the boy's arm, shaking her head. "He tells no lies. He gave me hope when I was lost. He gave me warmth when I was cold. He treated me like I mattered." Her voice broke into sobs. "Don't take him away." The mob boss's weapon remained aimed at the boy. His face was unreadable, stone carved from fury. But his eyes flickered just for a moment with something else. The boy lifted his chin, though his knees trembled. "You're right. I am nothing. But tonight, I was all she had, and I would do it again." His voice echoed against the stone, bold and defiant. The mob boss lowered his weapon. Gasps rippled through the soldiers. Even the healer's mouth fell open in shock. The boss stepped closer. His burning eyes studied the boy with sharp intensity, as if weighing his soul. Then, slowly, he spoke. "You are braver than most of my men." The healer shouted, desperate. "No, he is a human. Trash. He cannot." The boss silenced him with a glance. One look, and the healer's voice died in his throat. The mob boss turned back to his daughter, who still clung to the boy. His voice softened again. "If this human has earned your trust, then he will walk under my protection." The soldiers stirred, uneasy. None dared argue. The boy's breath caught. Protection! From the most feared being in the galaxy. He could hardly believe it. The girl's tears fell freely now, but she smiled faintly. She whispered, "I told you. You wouldn't leave me." The boy squeezed her hand gently, unable to find words. But the healer, broken and desperate, crawled forward, his voice wild. "You cannot do this. He is nothing. He will betray you." The boss turned slowly, his fiery gaze burning into the healer's soul. He raised his weapon and, without a word, fired. The chamber filled with light. When the smoke cleared, the healer was nothing but ash. The chamber was silent. Dust still drifted in the air where the healer had stood moments before. Nothing but ash on the ground. The mob boss's weapon glowed faint red, then folded back into his armor. His soldiers lowered their heads, not daring to speak. The boy stood frozen, his arms still around the blind alien girl. His chest heaved, his legs shook, but he refused to let go of her. He had just stared death in the face, and survived. The mob boss stepped closer, his shadow falling over the boy like a mountain. His fiery eyes studied him, not with anger, but with something colder. "Judgment. You are human," the boss said at last, his deep voice echoing through the chamber. "And yet you carried my daughter through fire and blood. You fought soldiers and liars. You even defied me." The boy swallowed hard, but he did not look away. "I only did what anyone should have done." The boss's lips curved into a faint, dangerous smile. "No, most would have left her. Most would have sold her for a handful of credits, but not you." The girl clung tighter to the boy's arm. "Father, he saved me. Please, don't hurt him. The boss's gaze shifted to her, and for a moment his expression softened. Then he looked back at the boy. "My daughter trusts you. That is rare. Very rare." The soldiers shuffled uneasily. They had seen their master kill without hesitation for far less. Now he was speaking words of respect to a human. It felt impossible. One soldier finally dared to step forward. "Great One," he said carefully. "Shall we take the human prisoner? He knows too much." The mob boss's fiery eyes burned. "No, he walks under my protection now." The soldier flinched and stepped back instantly. None would question him again. The boy's knees almost gave out. Protection! From the most feared being in the galaxy. It felt unreal. But at the same time, he knew what those words meant. He was no longer free. He had stepped into a shadow he could never escape. The girl's weak voice broke the silence. "Father, my eyes. They still cannot see." The boss's jaw tightened. His rage returned not at her, but at the world. "Those who cursed you will suffer," he growled. "I will tear their clans apart. I will burn their cities." The boy stepped forward before he could stop himself. His voice shook, but he forced it out. "Killing more people won't heal her." The chamber froze. Every soldier stiffened. Even the girl gasped. The mob boss turned slowly toward the boy, his fiery eyes narrowing. His massive form loomed so close the boy could feel the heat of his armor. "You dare." The boss rumbled, "to tell me what I can or cannot do." The boy's legs trembled, but he did not back down. "I dare, because she doesn't need more blood. She needs hope. She needs peace." The soldiers looked ready to strike him down. One even raised his weapon. But the boss lifted a hand, stopping them. His eyes burned into the boy's soul. "You speak boldly for someone so small." The boy took a shaky breath. "Maybe I am small. Maybe I am nothing. But tonight, I was all she had. And I will not be silent just because you are powerful." The chamber was silent. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. Then the girl's voice, soft but firm, broke the tension. "Father, he is right." The mob boss looked at her. For the first time, true pain showed in his burning eyes. He knelt beside her, his huge hand touching her small shoulder. "Daughter, I would give the galaxy to heal you." She smiled faintly. "Then start by not destroying it." The boy's heart ached. In her voice, he heard something stronger than fear, something he had never heard from anyone before. Hope. The mob boss closed his eyes. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, slowly, he stood. His voice thundered, shaking the chamber. "This human," he declared, "is under my blood oath. None shall harm him. Any who defy this will die." The soldiers bowed instantly, their voices united. "Yes, Great One." The boy's chest tightened. He had gone from being a homeless ghost in the ruins to standing at the side of the most feared family in the galaxy. The boss turned to him one last time. His voice was deep, almost gentle now. "Human, from this day, you are no longer nothing. You are the one who carried my daughter when the galaxy abandoned her. Remember this, honor can be found even in the weakest hands." The boy swallowed hard. He wanted to speak, but no words came. He only nodded, clutching the girl's hand tighter. The mob boss raised his weapon again, but not at the boy. He pointed it at the ceiling. With a single blast, the chamber opened to the night sky. Firelight and starlight poured in. "Come," the boss said to his soldiers. "We return home." The soldiers formed ranks. The girl leaned against the boy, smiling faintly through her tears. As they walked into the open night, the boy looked up at the stars. For years, they had seemed distant, unreachable, mocking. But tonight, they looked different. Tonight, he felt Scene. The homeless boy who once searched the streets for scraps now carried the trust of a blind alien girl, and the protection of the galaxy's most feared warlord. His future was uncertain, his path dangerous. But one thing was clear. In a universe ruled by power and fear, sometimes the smallest act of human courage could shake the stars.